What's up, everybody, and welcome to Around the Monitor for the week of June 13th. I'm your host, King Kaiser, and this is the weekly gaming news talk show where every point you make in the discussion is a point towards winning. Joining me once again, we've got Master Hand Mizuki.
Yo.
We've got the Ace Attorney, Dapper Dastard.
Still don't have my copy of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
Rip on this dude. All the F's in the chat. We've got the Snapshot, Crackshot, the Fisher King.
If you're wondering why I'm already at -1 points this week, it's because there are cowards out there who don't appreciate my taste in film.
And last but not least, the Hockey Sticks and Sickle himself, we've got Ian.
KD should only be eaten with barbecue sauce.
Sorry, what was the first word of that sentence?
KD.
KD.
Kevin Durant.
Crop dinner.
Chef dinner. Okay,
Wait.
Wow.
It's macaroni and cheese in Canada, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's macaroni and cheese.
Okay. Get out.
Is it?
Sorry, I started -1 for having a legitimate thing with points to back it up, and he can say nonsense like this and just proceed.
Wait, but for real, do people in
Show
Canada
rig.
call it craft dinner? Do they call it KD?
Yes.
Yeah, it's KD.
They call it
The
never
KD.
heard
box
KD.
literally says KD.
Wild.
Wow.
That's Kevin Durant, though.
You learn
Arcade
something new.
Arcade fan, do your
you
work,
shouldn't
man.
eat him.
You shouldn't eat Kevin Durant.
He'll take you out. He's a big man.
I get that you're upset that he joined the Warriors, but we shouldn't eat him.
And following up on that, Reliant K in the chat does take away a point from Ian. So we have two people starting at -1 this week. But if this is your first time joining us, you are blessed to join us today because if you didn't know, this is the weekly gaming news talk show where every point you make in the discussion is a point towards winning. What we do here is we talk through this week's news in gaming. Everybody gets to make their arguments for why things are good and or bad, and if they make good arguments, I give them points. And by good, I mean if I like hearing it. That's why
Don't talk about System Shock. Professional advice there.
Yeah, that's a fucking minefield to talk on. But whoever has the highest score at the end of the show gets to talk about whatever they would like for a minute. And I think that settles it. But to start every week, we always start with a trivia question. Now, if we got this far and I told you that I didn't have a trivia question prepared,
Jesus goddamn.
would you believe me? All right, we're
Absolutely, yes.
So when I was,
Of course I believe you.
well, he finds something. When I was editing around the tabletop, this kid had the audacity to be like, "Oh, you're looking up a rule in the middle of the show," and I was like,
Hey, okay, how about this?
"Okay, excuse you guys never had a trivia question once for
What?
the show he invented."
What year did the David Sunflower Company
Oh my
originate?
Oh my god.
What is the David Sunflower Company?
It's like
Sorry.
sunflower seeds.
In
You eat them.
in Canada, they just call it D sunflower. It's
That was good.
that
That
was
was
it.
really good.
That was the joke you liked.
Yeah, I appreciated that one.
All right. It's a company that makes sunflower seeds and sells them packaged.
Okay.
Usually
flavor
they're
is
salted.
that?
This is ranch. It's fucking terrible. Don't get it.
I've only ever had original and cheese. Do not have cheese.
Oh my god, that sounds like a fucking abuse against God and man.
Personally, I wouldn't do any flavor of my sunflower seeds,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I think I grabbed him by mistake. I had him in a gas station. I was like, I'm 19. It's sunflower seeds. 1934.
1916.
1951.
Okay.
1960. We fought back the Krauts and we brought back sunflower seeds.
When was the Dust Bowl? Because probably not around then.
I can't. It's just terrible. is so
1963.
I was like, I said 1964 originally, and I was like, nah,
The
that's too late.
correct answer is 1926.
Oh.
Was I closer or Pridge?
What was your guess, Fisher?
I said 24. Would you say Bridge?
I said 16.
All right,
Okay,
so
I was
it's
slightly closer.
Fisher, Dapper, then I believe Ian and Mizuki.
Oh yeah, I'm last.
Yeah. Really quick before, I like this non-gaming trivia. Random guesses are fun. I mean, that's what they mostly are, anyways.
That was actually pretty good one. I kind of like that trivia question.
I hate you guys so much.
It's good. It keeps us on our toes. Keeps us on our toes. Never know what to expect.
It was
Really-
change of pace.
Really quick, 8-Ball does give a point back to Fisher for respecting him on at least 1% of the stuff he brings up, which
I'll take it. I bring up a lot of bullshit.
is
that
maybe
points.
high praise, but
Hey, fuck you.
let's talk about this week's news topics this week. We've got a new Sony patent shows AI that could take over for AFK players. The song for The Last of Us 2's trailer was inspired by an existing cover, and Naughty Dog apologizes after it was called out by the cover's original performer.
Yeah.
The Last of Us official podcast is launched. While this might not be the first to do this, is this a cool way for devs to hype up their games moving forward? Bungie seems to be hiring for a new IP with, quote, comedic and whimsical characters. Ikumi Nakamura.
I'm sure they'll run it into the ground.
Well, maybe. I mean, hey, Destiny 2 is going to be the same for at least 2022. So, Ikumi Nakamura, the well-beloved game developer who made her big splash at E3, I think 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, with Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yes, she is trying to bring back Okami. Nintendo reveals that an additional 140,000 account breaches have happened. This brings it to a total of 300,000 account breaches. Listen, if you don't have two-factor authorization on your Nintendo account ID, do that now.
Do that. Because
yeah,
they're incompetent.
I should probably do that.
Riot Games executive is investigated after making an extremely tone-deaf and arguably racist post.
Not arguably.
Yeah, it was very
Great
bad.
race.
It was very bad. Surprising no one. Executives at Riot continue to be terrible. Sony is fined $2.4 million for breaking Australian consumer laws regarding refunds. DMCA Takedowns are forcing Twitch streamers to delete literally thousands of clips. A unfinished and playable build of Dead Island 2 from 2015 has leaked. Dungeons & Dragons partners with League of Legends for a League of Legends themed campaign. And it looks like we're not going to get Destiny 3 anytime soon because they've announced that DLC is planned to release until at least 2022. 8-Ball has also given a point to Ian. Need to level out the playing field, unlike capitalism. All right. Very good. Very good.
I'll take it.
All right.
A point to 8-Ball because that was funny.
That was a very funny joke. Fisher, you're up first. Which topic would you like to start with?
I want to talk about the racist Riot Games thing or the cool Riot Games thing. The eternal question. No, actually, I want to talk about the Last of Us podcast.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
The Last of Us launches an official podcast to discuss with devs, voice actors, gaming personalities, and the like. Discuss both games, but primarily, it's 2 to hype up 2 to make you buy 2.
Yeah.
I just want the way Zach has it written in our news thing here is Last of Us official podcast is launched. Is this a cool way for devs to hype up games? Yes, is actually my opinion on that. So this isn't unheard of, as Zach mentioned, but I wanted to note that this is done with The Good Place, the television show. They had a podcast that was hosted by the cast members, and that also became the Brooklyn Nine-Nine podcast. The same guy, Mark Evan Jackson, he's on both shows. He hosts the podcast, and it transitioned to the Brooklyn Nine-Nine podcast after the show ended, after Good Place ended. And what I really like about that podcast is how they sort of like approach it each episode with like talking about what's going on behind the scenes, like sort of like cool stories from production and stuff like that. That appeals to me as a production person. It might not appeal to everybody. I don't know. But I feel like this is a really cool way to delve into not necessarily like world building or lore or any of that crap, but sort of like nuances and things that interested people about the production of the game. There's been a bajillion movies and documentaries and docuseries is made jerking off like film production and TV production, like behind the scenes, all that shit. But there's very little of it on video games because for the most part, video games is a bunch of sweaty nerds typing on computers, and then eventually Lara Croft comes out.
An extra point for that.
Sort of like the Thanks. With sort of like the coolification that games is going through, where they're trying to like make it more appealing and more celebrity involvement and more like yeah, dog. With like you got your Norman Reeduses and your Matt Mercer being both a like major voice acting talent and also like a huge podcast talent. You're just seeing a lot more bleed over with mainstream media and video games, and I feel like this is a really cool way of letting people into the sort of like production and the behind the scenes of video games without having it be like a no clip documentary or something that really I mean not to say that podcasts about video games don't only appeal to gamers, but like that has a slightly wider berth.
Yeah, I mean,
especially by having guests on, if games. Say they did a Death Stranding podcast. I mean, I would listen to it because fuck that game. Actually, I kind of want to hear Kojima explain away his bullshit, quite frankly. But like, if Norman Reedus posts on his Twitter, "Hey, I'm on this podcast," people are likely to go listen to it, and that actually instills somewhat of a more interest in games, if not anything.
Yeah, I think it's much like, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Fisher, because you're the film school guy. Commentaries on films, because DVDs have kind of died, have essentially also died.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there is a couple podcasts that are just that now.
There you go. This is cool.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're buying a Blu-ray director's cut, like, which is only something that really like film nerds do, or people that are like, oh, that's the one that is the number one on Amazon, so that's get the one I'm going to buy. But also, like, if you're downloading a thing off like Prime Video or whatever, you're not getting the director's commentary. That's gone.
Dapper, what would you like to talk about for your first topic this week?
With a heavy sigh, let's talk about Riot Games executive Ron Johnson.
Of course his name is Ron
Also,
Johnson.
what a name.
Yeah. It's like, you could tell me your name is Ron Johnson and be like, would you believe it? This guy said something racist. I'd be like, yeah, actually.
All right. So Ron Johnson is the global head of consumer products at Riot Games, a company known for having tremendously upstanding people at its top. Just people chock full of moral integrity. The kind of people that really, really care. So this wonderful human being, Ron Johnson, decided to weigh in on the murder of George Floyd. And his incredibly racist and horrible post, basically, to sum it up, because no one should have to look at this garbage, is basically blame George Floyd's criminal history for getting murdered, and then tied it all together by saying when he was killed, he was getting ready to drive a car and possibly kill your kid. Which is...
Yeah, that sentence...
How do you dispel this one out? Horrible. Just straight fucking horrible. So this dude is a giant hunk of trash. Mr. Johnson, I'm referring to, obviously. And so, the one thing on this, Riot immediately issued a statement that basically said that statement is horrible and very, very bad. But which is obviously good. But there's two big problems. One, he's currently on leave pending the result of Riot's internal investigation. What internal investigation do you need to do? It's a Facebook post. I see the Facebook post. It's racist. Fire him. I did the investigation. It took me 6 seconds. I read the Facebook post. It was super racist. You fire him.
Oh my god, he's the best.
It's a really good point. Like, what is the investigation?
I'm not Batman. You don't need Batman over here to do this detective work. It's really simple. And the problem is...
They had to call in Riot internal special race cops, which conveniently all white men?
What?
And that's what makes me nervous, is that the people at the top of Riot do not have any sense of integrity. When they got busted for their sexism scandal, one of the most blatant offenders got a 2-month suspension, and that was it. The person doing the worst actions, 2 months. Didn't get rid of him, literally just gave him an extended vacation. I'm on a 30-day leave of absence from work right now. It's not that long. 2 months, it's not a punishment. That is just a small sabbatical.
Mm-hmm.
So I am terrified, A, that this has not already been concluded with him being promptly removed. I'm B, worrying that it might potentially end up with him not being removed at all. And that is horrifying, and I should never have to think a company would suck that badly, but Riot tends to suck that badly.
I was to say, but this is Riot Games.
Freaking tilting.
Yeah.
This should be the most open and shut, get out of our company you can see out there. But Riot could find a way to screw this up.
I mean,
that is depressing as hell.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
I
mean, like Bon Appetit and Adam Rappaport, all that stuff came out on Monday, and he was fired the same day. Fucking Riot Games has months and months and months of bullshit showing up in my newsfeed about them being racist, toxic, sexist, evil, and it's just like, oh well, we're looking into it.
Yeah, it's big yikes, big
Not
yikes,
good.
Riot.
All right, I don't think this opinion is gonna be super hot. So Bungie has told us about their plans for the next couple of years of Destiny 2.
Yes.
I started playing Destiny 2 October when it became free, and it pretty much consumed the entire month of October for me. Within that month and a half, I put in 200-300 hours. It was rough.
Wow.
It's a good game.
What's your light level?
It
Just
was
fucking with
maxed at the time. So, and in that time, I didn't spend a cent. Which was great. I really enjoyed it. It there's obviously a lot of things that are blocked off if you don't buy, but you can play the full game pretty much for free. What they've unveiled, what they've teased is September. End of September, they're releasing a new expansion. They do end of September, early October. Every year, it's been one big expansion a year. Last year, it was Shadowkeep, which got really good reception. It's also when they made it free to play at the same time. Now they've got I forget the name of it. Beyond Light.
Yes.
Yes, is the name of late September. This expansion's coming, but it's not just that they're adding this new stuff into the game, a new raid, everything that comes with an expansion, new storyline. They've also decided our game's too big. We can't feasibly update it. We can't.
Something no game developer has ever said. Our game's really big, guys. Sorry.
The amount of flops, the amount of fucking ray traces.
So instead of just doing what every fucking MMO does, you add on your new expansion and kind of let the other stuff fall by the wayside. They're just saying, no, we're just gonna delete it from the game. It's gone. So I believe they're just completely axing all of Mars, all of Nessus, all of IO. I think all of Titan as well.
I didn't read this full press release because Destiny means nothing to me. I kind of put it in here because I knew you would care and could break it down for us. This is actually interesting. I didn't know this.
They're taking away stuff. They're adding some other stuff, and then some of that stuff will be cycled in over the next couple of years. So at some point in the future, they will probably put the Red War campaign back in while taking out something else. They're also adding in another big thing here is they're adding in some Destiny 1 stuff.
That's
some old stuff that they're bringing back for Destiny 2.
Peter Dinklage is back. And he's pissed.
They're adding the Cosmodrome, which is cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't think this is going to impact the new player experience very well. I think it's going to be bad.
That's actually that is incredibly an interesting choice by them. I don't totally disagree. I mean, I played Final Fantasy 14 for fucking 5 years. And that game right now has 12 end game, like considered end game raids that are like, and 10 of them have been phased out, and they're just sitting there in the game. They are utterly purposeless. There's no reason to go access them. In fact, going to access them is a tremendous pain in the ass, and like you have to go way the fuck out of your way to even do it.
Wow.
It is the epitome of dead content. So like I totally understand axing old raids and axing content that doesn't serve any purpose anymore. But getting rid of the single player campaign, which like for a lot of people, I mean, especially like there is a huge section of people that play MMOs just to play the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
WoW has an interesting system where they do like a rotating time warp thing every like 2 weeks or month or something, where it scales up old raid content to the current level.
14
and makes the gear relevant and stuff too. To
14
kind of
has a
solve
thing
that
called
problem.
14 has a thing called daily roulettes, which you like it queues you up with people that are actually going through the story and pacing it, and they scale it up for your difficulty for you, but not for them.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Like I played Final Fantasy 14 December, January this year. That the new player experience there is somewhat rough because the campaign drags on. They're fixing that.
It's terrible pre-level 15. It's abysmal.
Yeah, pre-level 15 definitely. Even for like up to level 50, I enjoyed it, but it's definitely not for everyone. It's a whole lot of grind. They're fixing that.
Oh boy, is it a Final Fantasy game?
But you know, those raids, those campaigns, those that content that most people don't play. That's things that I've been playing. That's things that I've been working my way through.
They're good. They're just like
It's really
abysmal to
interesting.
access.
That is really interesting.
The queue times. Oh god, the queue times.
I do not regret keeping this conversation going on so long, but we have spent now 9 minutes on this topic. So I might cut some of this out in post, but this was actually a very good topic, and that is why I kept this going. So actually, bonus point for Ian. Everybody's tied at 11, except for Mizuki, who now gets to pick his topic.
Got deuces. Give me Okami.
Ah, you bastard.
Let us know how Okami is doing.
Well, I mean, Okami doesn't really exist right now.
No.
Okami Den, the hit game for the 3DS?
That even I didn't know existed until I read this article. But basically, Okami came out in PS2 era. It was made by the team that would go on to found Platinum Games. So this was Hideki Kamiya and Ikumi Nakamura, who is the one who wants to try and pitch Okami to Capcom, which, dude, this woman is the best.
She has so much positive goodwill from the actual gamers that like she can
has
do
so
no
much
wrong.
Positive gamer goodwill in the balls on this woman, because like I don't think she even went to Capcom yet. This is how this is how fucking wild this woman is.
Essentially.
She's just like, hey, after this whole pandemic shit's over, I'm gonna go to Capcom and pitch a new Okami game. So she's hyping people up for a game that she hasn't even pitched yet.
Yeah.
This woman is a mad genius. She's like, yo, I'm gonna hype up all these people that played the original Okami, and these probably millions of people that played the fucking like 15 different Okami ports that have existed in the past 10 years.
We want is fantastic. I'll die on this hill.
It's on like every system. It's everywhere. But like, she's the best. And basically, she's gonna approach Capcom after this, be like, give me the reins to an Okami sequel, except she doesn't even want the full reins. She wants Hideki Kamiya from Platinum to direct the game.
Yeah.
This woman's fucking wild and I love her. She's not even pitching a game she wants to direct. She's like, no, get Hideki in here. He did the original game. He's gonna do a good job with this game that I'm gonna pitch. Like, holy shit. She is so just gung-ho, wild, get the people on her side. I am fucking convinced she's gonna will this into existence.
You know,
I love it.
Some people might say that she is the voice of the people, but that is in fact Haya 590.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah.
No, she's the voice for the people.
That's
her pedigree.
There's
by the way,
rub.
She went from working on Okami to working on Bayonetta. What a fucking back-to-back. Jesus.
Well, I mean, that was most of the team that worked on Okami.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people
Yeah.
that worked on Okami was Clover Studio, a Capcom studio. Most of them left.
Oh.
Creative Platinum Games made Bayonetta and whatever else after that.
Arcade Fan says Hayo 5 Nano should be the new Okami spokesperson. I don't think Hayo knows what Okami is.
He should. Is the Sony PS5 release thing still free game? The whole stream that happened today.
Shoot, you know what? We didn't really talk about that yet. Do we want to do an around, or do we want to? Would you like to talk?
Oh,
about
that's
it?
a good point. We can do it
I wanna do
around
A quick
Let's do it
round.
around
Alright.
at the end of the show.
Okay,
at the end of the show.
I'm fine with
Okay,
that.
sure.
I think that's a good idea.
Your last chance to get points. All right. So I'll just do something else.
Let's make sure we go quicker on these second round topics.
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
We
I'll pick something
100%
smaller.
should.
Oh yeah. Okay. Nintendo reveals that hey, that number of account breaches we told you about, maybe it's double that.
Yeah.
Hey Nintendo. You know, back in the 90s, we were working on something that everyone was really jazzed about. It's called the internet. I know you guys haven't heard about it yet.
God
Get it the fuck together. Like every week, I yell at someone to get it the fuck together. I don't. Like, what is wrong with you people? Nintendo utter stubborn refusal to understand what's going on with like the internet and connectivity and just like internet on consoles will never cease to fucking amaze me. This company desperately needs some sort of action team or just a complete security and information infrastructure, internet infrastructure overhaul, because they absolutely cannot get it right. And to the point where it's like, I actually don't know if I'm going to trust Nintendo with anything. Like, I don't think I'm going to buy a game that uses multiplayer that is on a Nintendo console, because I think they can only be trusted with single player games at this point, and that's like a
Hey,
huge
man,
detriment.
They
to
did
Nintendo.
make Breath of
Nintendo
the
makes
Wild.
their niche. But that's a single player game.
No, it's a very good.
And
game,
I'm not eating any of your bullshit. 7 out of 10. I think like Nintendo makes their niche by owning your childhood and saying we don't have to play the games that Sony and Microsoft are playing. We can do whatever the fuck we want. I actually think that narrative is really starting to wear thin, with the fact that they actually are pretty slow about churning out exclusives that I give a fuck about. We haven't talked about Mario since Odyssey. We haven't talked about Zelda since Breath of the Wild. Nintendo is actually in a state with me right now where I'm only really playing old games on their services, and they're not releasing enough of those. Like, I can't play Chrono Trigger on the fucking Switch. I can only play 2 Final Fantasy games on the Switch.
Mhm.
Why do I give a fuck about Nintendo right now? It's kind of where I'm at. Like, they're not doing anything. They're not competing with Sony and Microsoft in the new game sphere. And I think, honestly, I actually at this point have more bad will towards Nintendo than I do towards Sony and Microsoft. And those companies love to fuck up every opportunity they get.
More
Yeah.
on that at the end of the show.
That's
So,
that's a yeah.
In closing, Nintendo, Jesus Christ.
That was I was a little worried going into that back half, but you worded that really well and you got me on there. So yeah, I hope they actually, you know what? There is a Paper Mario game coming next month, which is fucking wild to me.
And when they do announce shit, they're just like, I don't know, Paper Mario, whatever. They also
Yeah.
haven't been hyping me up about that. Where's my Paper Mario Direct? Like, you invent these things, you invent great
Yeah.
ideas, and then just throw them in the garbage.
Yeah.
Nintendo can't work from home, dude.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, all of Japan. can.
that is their
Insanity.
literal problem.
Sony inexplicably fine, but Nintendo.
It's because most of their devs in the U.S.
Yeah, that's true.
April says show gameplay with a party system. Yeah, that would be nice. Dapper, what's you taking?
Before we talk about Sony later, let's talk about Sony now. And by that I mean
Sony now and later.
let's talk,
Sony then, now, forever.
now and later. Good candy.
It is. Amen.
Let's talk about Sony's little hiccup with Australian law.
They call that Outback Law.
Hey. All right. So Sony has recently discovered that the law is not the same everywhere in the world. I'm a lawyer. I can vouch for the truth in that statement. The law is in fact not the same everywhere else in the world. And if you try and act like it's the same everywhere, sometimes you make mistakes.
Are you telling me I could go somewhere else in the world and kill a man?
No.
Damn it. How else will I get rid of Fisher?
Ooh, that's like a dark.
I don't know why I picked you. Sorry.
Isn't there a small area of the U.S. where you can kill a man?
It's called Florida, but
Very good joke.
But only if you're a Florida man.
Damn. Very good joke.
All right, back on topic though. So basically, Sony was telling there were 4 people in the actual lawsuit, but obviously there were probably much more than 4 people affected by this.
Mhm.
Basically, Sony was telling people who purchased games in their store that once they downloaded the game or once 14 days had passed, they could no longer request a refund. Turns out that's a straight up violation of Australian competition and consumer law. So oopsie daisy on that one. And it took the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission actually took Sony to the court and was able to win at the end of it. At the end of the day, it's 2.4 million, which to Sony probably doesn't really mean anything.
It's a lot of video games.
Most of the story most of the story doesn't really mean anything in the long run. It's mostly just funny when big companies get ahead of themselves and don't pay attention to things. Again, I'm not surprised that shit like this happens because it's really easy to just get ahead of yourself and be like, they can't be that different, right? No one's gonna call us on this shit, and then someone inevitably does call you on this shit.
What are you gonna do? Stab me?
Exactly. Yeah. So again, Sony got a little pinch for 2.4 million, or 3.5 million in Australia dollars.
Ooh.
I know, right?
Dingo bucks.
Dingo bucks.
We're doubling in the down under.
Really
Dingo ate my PlayStation.
That's really all I got like this. Again, this story doesn't really mean anything in the long run, but a warning to all business owners out there, be careful when you expand internationally. It's a whole different world out there from your backyard.
It's the Outback.
Nice.
You're out backyard.
Oh, yeah, fridge.
Bloomin' Onion joke. Ian, you're up next.
Got him.
Which topic would you like to talk about?
Oh no. Okay, we got him. We got him.
All right. Oh no, did we lose his audio?
I am up. Yeah.
Correct.
This is what I wanted to talk about. Yes. So I want to talk about the Twitch situation. Because there's been a lot of misinformation around this, a lot of, not deliberate, but just people not really understanding what was happening. The long and short of it, the story here is a whole lot of people have been getting DMCA takedowns on Twitch. Just, if you've used music that you didn't have the rights to, mostly, you are probably getting a DMCA takedown. Last weekend was the major glut of them. As far as I know, they're still rolling in for a little bit. But, so, what people originally thought is, Twitch has developed, their content ID, or they're finally rolling out their content ID, and they're just tagging everyone. That's not what happened. What did happen is a bunch of copyright holders, most notably, I believe it's Universal Music Group and Warner.
They're pretty big.
Who own basically all music.
Yep.
If you know YouTube at all, if you've followed,
I've heard of that.
There, you know that Universal Music Group is like a huge fucking pain in the ass.
They are one of the
anyone.
3 major record labels in the world.
Yeah. So them and Warner basically own all music. And they decided, hey, this Twitch thing's pretty big. We should probably get some money out of that. And a lot of Twitch streamers will, play music in the background or have it low just while they're playing games, especially ones that are a little bit quieter, that just like focus on the game.
Mm-hmm.
They'll play music in the background. And for a while, that has meant, some of their VOD will get muted or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that means they're probably getting a copyright strike.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other side of the story is everyone on Twitch is deleting VODs.
Mm-hmm.
Which is whatever. Who actually watches Twitch VODs, just go to their YouTube channel. But everyone on Twitch is deleting VODs so that they don't get copyright striked. Twitch has said that because of the unprecedented situation, they usually operate on a 3 strikes you're out. So if you get 3 copyright strikes, your channel's deleted,
Mm-hmm.
which will end careers, and it's very bad for everyone.
Yeah.
They have said that they're going to be lenient on that for the next week or two, because if you got 3 copyright strikes yesterday, like, what are you supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be you've been warned twice, but if just 3 or 50 of your videos just got copyright strikes, that's not really fair. They're giving you a extreme chance to delete all their VODs, to at least purge the copyright material out of it, so that they don't have their channels deleted. I understand the legal aspects, and they are entirely within their rights, but also, this is law from 1998. It needs to be fucking updated.
Yeah.
I don't
the
think
world
they were
has
counting
changed.
for Twitch in 1998.
I don't think they were counting for the internet in 1998.
Yeah.
It barely existed.
Well,
Yeah.
this law was, the internet's a thing. Let's put some law out about it.
Yeah.
But they didn't account for anything that happened afterwards.
Dave, you were going to highlight what
Arcade
Yeah,
Yeah.
our K-fan put a very good thing in the chat of no more Beat Saber streams. That's going to be super true. No more VODs, most likely. Of
Pretty
those.
much
Which
any rhythm
affects me.
game is fucked.
Yeah.
But the Shrek movie.
Shut up. Mizuki, bring us home.
You know what? We're going to talk more about music. The Last of Us
I do-
Part 2's trailer.
I do really quick want to point out, not
I
to
was gonna
dunk
do it.
on you for this, Ian, but that was another 7-minute topic.
Yikes! I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
It was a good conversation though. I'm not mad, but we did go very long.
Yeah.
Tell us about this music in the Last
Alright,
of Us
so-
trailer.
The Last of Us Part 2 put out not just a trailer, an extended commercial that
Mhm.
they play on videos online.
Yeah, it is the
and
commercial.
TV.
You're right.
Yeah, which is also going to be in game because Ellie's singing it.
Mhm.
But basically, it uses an almost like 100% replica of a cover of a song. I'm trying to remember the original artist. One sec. So the artist who did the cover is Latte Kestner. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but the original artist is a track by New Order from 1987, actually.
Hmm.
So Kestner most likely paid a licensing fee in order to do this cover
Mhm.
and release it on her own
100%,
album,
100%
as
she did.
Around the Monitor covered.
Yeah.
in a
Let's say,
previous video on
for
music
my
licensing.
research in music licensing, that is very true. She had to do that.
Yes.
Mhm.
So this artist paid to license that track, did a cover of it.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful cover, absolutely fantastic,
Mhm.
which inspired the Last of Us Part 2 people to make a inspired track that is totally not just a fucking copy
Yeah.
of what she did, down to the humming of parts that were originally like synthwave.
Mhm.
Like, and they have, since this came out and the artist called them out of like, hey, this is my music.
Mhm.
Neil Druckmann's like, yes, the music there was inspired by this cover of the song.
Mhm.
We had some oversight and we missed it. She wasn't credited as
Yeah.
intended. Bitch, you need to pay her.
Yeah.
She gave you the music for your fucking commercial and your game that makes for a fantastic commercial trailer, whatever you want to call it. And she wasn't even credited. let alone paid for this up until this point.
I don't even.
How the fuck?
I don't think she was paid for it at all. I don't understand this.
Yeah.
How
I
covered?
still don't think she was paid for
Yeah,
it.
I guarantee you, New Order got some money, but I don't
Yeah.
think this girl who did the cover got
So
any money.
New Order most likely got money. She got credit on
Mhm.
Twitter because that means a whole fucking lot. That's
Yeah.
not money in your fucking bank account for doing work, which was her creating this cover.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm a little irritated at both Naughty Dog and Sony for letting this happen.
Mhm.
She has since posted that she's proud it found a place in a project.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that means they paid her.
Yeah, I will say her response to it was very positive. To like Neil Druckmann tweeted like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, this is our
Yeah.
fault. So sorry." And her response is like, "I'm just what you said. Like, I'm glad that this has been resolved."
Still
and blah
weird
blah blah.
though.
I would
it's
like to
such a-
believe they either gave her money under the table or something.
Settle out of court situation.
Maybe her SoundCloud is just seeing crazy new views because of
Blow it
this. But
I sure hope so. Like, I honestly hope both. I hope she got paid for creating the cover that they copied.
mhm.
Straight up, they copied it. There's no argument there. If she actually took them to court over it being a copy, she would win.
Oh yeah.
I agree. With that.
So I hope that both they paid her for the copy that they stole and then released without crediting her,
Mhm.
and that she is now getting a lot more attention because she did a banger job of making a fantastic cover
Hopefully
of a
she
New Order
wasn't
song.
paid in just exposure bucks.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
I really
it'd
hope
be
not.
so sad. Like,
Yeah.
and like
Can you
the thing
imagine-
is, I know
You get exposure from your song being in one of the most high-selling games of the fucking year 2020.
exactly.
We can't afford to pay you though.
Like Sony and Naughty Dog have got to have the like actual bucks that they can pay this woman.
Mhm.
Like,
I mean, hey, speaking of PlayStation having money or not, how about that PlayStation 5 reveal event, gentlemen?
Yeah.
At this point, let's do it. Actually, we'll go in order one more time, and I'm going to give, because we are way over time, give everybody exactly 30 seconds to give me a goof, or just whatever you thought. Fisher, are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready for this.
Okay, 30 seconds on the clock. Starts
So
now.
at the very beginning of the stream, they do this sizzle reel of like they really called it the most iconic moments of the last 20 years in Sony history. They showed a bunch of garbage. They showed great things. God of War, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, that was all in there. They showed Knack.
I knew you were going to say that.
Questionable, very questionable, and they showed Gravity Rush, which is like that's a very small indie game that I don't people play, but whatever.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: they showed Knack 3 times over this entire thing. They didn't announce Knack 3. They did show Knack 3 times. Knack 3 is out there. They know where Knack is, and they're hiding him from us.
All right. Moving on from that, Dapper, give us your 30-second take.
Knack.
All right, all the transitions between the games where they just showed like weird graphics of the Sony button logos were really awkward, bad, and jarring because they'd
Yeah.
appear, then the screen would go to black, and then they'd actually start the next trailer. So
Mhm.
that was silly. But most importantly, goodbye Volcano High. That shit was the most like me aesthetic I've
That
like
name is
ever
so good.
encountered in a game. Also, Little Devil Inside, also exactly my
great.
aesthetic. So
Yeah.
those two, I'm looking forward for those.
Volcano High is so strong. Go Volcanoes.
Ian, what would you like to say for your 30 seconds on this event?
I really liked it. The transitions were weird, the pacing was weird, but like at least 85% of the games I'm like mega hyped for, especially Deathloop.
Mhm.
The one thing I do want to say is there was no fucking Elden Ring, and I came for Elden Ring, and I wanted Elden Ring. They didn't give me Elden Ring, and I'm mad.
The game doesn't exist.
Elden Ring.
They give us Demon Souls
Elden Ring.
remastered.
Elden Ring is
do.
Mizuki's Psychonauts 2.
I want Elden Ring.
Whoa,
It's Beyond Good and Evil
whoa.
2, more like it.
Okay, that's more accurate.
There's both of these games, and neither of them are coming out.
Oh, okay, come on.
3
Ian,
games aren't
I'll give
coming
you
out.
Beyond Good and Evil 2. I will not give
Ian,
you Psychonauts.
Any other comments on this?
Give me Elden Ring.
Okay.
I want it. I want it so
Away.
bad.
And Mizuki, bring us home.
First point, Ian came for a bad time when he was expecting Elden Ring. Second point, initially I was lukewarm on this presentation. The games, actually, looking back, were really good, but it was mired by a shitty presentation that Dapper pointed out. One thing I want to point out, part of the shitty presentation, Deathloop is a PlayStation 5 exclusive and comes out holiday this year. And they didn't put that in there. All except like 3 of those games were exclusives to PlayStation, and they said that nowhere.
They also didn't mention once again the PS5 is coming at holiday 2020. I know we all know, but you should still mention that.
Yeah, that is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Reliant K fans
less
says, what?
wild.
Deathloop's a PlayStation 5 exclusive? I didn't know that either.
Exactly.
Mizuki found out in a press release.
It's a timed exclusive on PS4.
True.
Well, every
Five?
time nowadays, fucking Christ.
It is pretty bonkers. But that is going to do it for this week, which means Mizuki, Dapper, and Ian, it's time to go home and become family men. Because this week's winner is the Fisher King. Are you ready for your minute to win it?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this fucking PS5 of mine.
Okay. Take it away.
So, this is a film school heavy episode. In film school, I had a professor, Laura Kissel, who she's a documentary filmmaker. She's won a shitload of awards for Cotton Road. It's fantastic. It's a very interesting documentary. Highly recommend it. She said when you're doing any sort of information-based presentation, documentaries, true crime, TV series, anything where you are relaying information to an audience, it is your duty to work your narrative in what's called peaks and valleys. A peak is a piece of interesting information that drives you to fall into the valley, which is information that you don't necessarily care about, but you actually need to understand things, followed by another peak, which keeps you interested once again. It's a very simple thing of like one for them, one for me, one for them, one for me, where you are just bringing someone along on the narrative so they understand what's going on and at least are interested enough or stimulated enough to keep listening. All presentations apparently never learned this bit of information because, Christ's sake, Sony, learn how to front load and learn how to put trailers in order that I give a fuck about. Don't start me off with Grand Theft Auto 5 and then fucking talk about fucking Gran Turismo. Like, you need to be like, here's a big cool thing. Here's your fucking major first party game. It's not coming out in 2013, and then show me GTA, and then show me Gran Turismo, and then show me something small, and then show me something else big. It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah, it shouldn't have took about 10 minutes to get to Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yes, and also if your big fucking crescendo moment is showing off the fucking console that comes out in 6 months and pre-orders are going to start probably next month I need to know how much it fucking costs so I can tell you if I'm paying you the money or not.
No, they'll do that in a little press release because it's going to be more than you want to pay for it.
Yes, but if you do this after you spend an hour hyping me up, I'm more likely to be like, oh, I'll pay for that. I just watched Deathloop. I'm so interested in it. Cool. If you do it in a press release with no other information after I've already stopped caring, I'm more likely to see the price and go, ugh, and just keep scrolling on my Twitter feed.
You know what? I have nothing to argue with that. That's a good point.
Shout out to Professor Kissel. That class was fun.
Thanks, Professor
Hell yeah,
Kissel.
Professor Kissel.
This is the new Pokemon professor coming up in the next game.
Not a tree.
Good. That was good. Thank you for that. But that's going to do it for this week. The only thing I think I have to plug for this week is I have a new video that's coming out this week on how the Game Boy was marketed to the United States. It actually came out, I think, a year and a half after. No, it came out very close to when the Game Boy came out in Japan. But their choices of how they market it differently to us are very interesting. For example, the Game Boy did not launch with a game in the box in Japan. It just, you got the Game Boy, then you had to buy another game. In America, they were going to launch it with Super Mario Brothers. And this one fucking Dutch dude was like, no. Launch it with Tetris. Trust me. And they ended up launching it with Tetris, and everybody still bought Mario anyways. It's very interesting stuff. So
made Nintendo more money at the end.
Yep,
Yeah.
sure did. But it's a very fun script to work on, so I'm excited to get started on that. I haven't really started much on it, and it's already Thursday, so hopefully it gets done. Mizuki, I think you have something to tell us about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, moving on.
I'm
Fisher.
kidding. Tomorrow, I guess it'll be today when this posts. So Friday, June 12th at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, we'll be doing Around the Controller. This week's topic of the week is what games would we put in a PlayStation 2 Classic console? So think the NES Mini, but PS2. Since the PS1 Classic basically doesn't exist.
Elden Ring. Sorry, I meant Eternal Ring.
I got a story about that after we're done the show.
Man, listen, it was the first video I ever made for like YouTube gaming content that I was ever proud of. So,
and I got a story about it after the show.
Okay. Dapper Ian Fisher, anything to announce?
I just want to say Black Lives Matter. Donate to the bail funds. Donate to Black Lives Matter to whoever is in your area. Check out that itch bundle because that shit is insane.
It is insane.
It's like over 1,000 games, and all the proceeds go to the NAACP and the bail funds.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely get that. $5 minimum, but donate as much as you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To any cops listening, stop it, please.
Yes, we have a huge cop listener base here at Around the Monitor.
I don't know if I want that listening base.
Listen, if you're a cop and you're listening, you have to tell us legally. You have to tell us.
I don't want to entrapment.
Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Dapper, can you back me up? Do they legally have to tell us that?
The show.
Fisher, anything else to say?
I mean, it feels cheap after fucking talking about Black Lives Matter to plug the channel. Christ. But yeah, Around the Tabletop. Our episode 2 went up on Monday. We played Secret Palpatine. We are very incompetent, and I didn't know that I won the game after I won the game, so I kind of lost the game. Baffling. Yeah, around the Tabletop episode 2. Next episode is going to be Don't Let It Die. We recorded it last week. I don't know, Friday or Saturday. I don't remember. It'll be up week on Monday, and then we'll record another one next Friday. But I'll talk about that next week.
Radical. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. Again, thank you for tuning in, and remember, if you can't watch the show live, we also record it on. We upload a recording of it on YouTube the very next morning, as well as iTunes podcast services. And I think that is it. Reliant K fan didn't know about the bundle. Yeah, this bundle kicks ass, dude. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It is an absurd amount of games for so cheap. Our K fan says, if I can't watch the show live, my week is ruined. And with that, with high praise like that, until next time, this has been Around the Monitor.